Hello there. In order to appease a minority, the UK government has once again picked on the very minority that has ever protected them and this country, the armed forces and their veterans. They thought it was over for the Tories. Well, it definitely is now. Because they've just trampled all over the most revered day of the year for the armed forces, Armistice Day. The Minister for Veterans Affairs, Johnny Mercer, has come forward saying that it is right and proper that a protest march can go ahead in London on Armistice Day, this Saturday the 11th of November, and that veterans should stay away to avoid causing a clash. Protesters before Armistice Day. Has this former officer no shame? This comes directly on the heels of the Met Police boss begging the pro-Palestine protest organisers to cancel their events, something they refuse to do as they now know they are in charge and the Met Police know it too. And these same people will stand at the cenotaph on Sunday and say, "We will remember." Those will be hollow words indeed. And this comes on the day that His Majesty the King opened the new Parliament, talking about what his government will be doing. And now his government is trampling all over His Majesty's armed forces. A war in Europe, and now a war in the Middle East, and our politicians have hollowed out our armed forces to a dangerous level. Yet they would still order them into the front line if required. And as ever, it's Tommy this and Tommy that, with thanks during wartime but a kick in the groin in peacetime. Most Labour politicians will be quietly very satisfied that at last the military is being shadow banned, because modern Labour politicians have little connection or respect for our armed forces, whatever they spout in public. And Tory politicians don't care, they've got scant months left in their jobs anyway. And Mercer has the cheek to say that servicemen have fought, been maimed and died so that people have the right to protest and voice their view, so this protest must go ahead. But the big exception here is the ones that actually did the fighting. They get no chance to air their views, to openly make their voice heard or to protest, nor it seems to turn up in London to pay their respects on Armistice Day. Now I know Remembrance Sunday is the big pomp and circumstance day, but Armistice Day, the 11th of November, is the real event. As I said at the start, the veterans are a minority in this country, a minority that put their lives and well-being on the line in the defence of this very nation and the very flag that these politicians supposedly respect. And the armed forces and veterans are the ones expected to silently put up with being disrespected by other minorities in their own nation, to the extent they cannot pay their respects to the fallen. This is unhinged. Now on the 7th of November, Mercer X'd the following: I fully recognise the tensions at play this weekend and have engaged extensively with the police, Home Secretary, veterans groups and protest organisers. Come to London. It's the most important weekend of the year for our community, and we will make sure you are safe.
So I'm down here this morning at the Cenotaph and looking at preparations for Remembrance Sunday. And I know a lot of you have been in touch over the last few days, and I spent the weekend talking to veterans groups, spent yesterday talking with Mark Rowley at the Met Police, and indeed through back channels to those who are organising protests this weekend. The headlines are no one's coming near the Cenotaph from protests. The route isn't coming anywhere near here. I've spoken to Mark Rowley and others about making sure that we protect those who are selling poppies. I know that elderly veterans will be coming to London, and measures will all be in place to make sure that people can go about Remembrance in the way they want to, unmolested by any of the other events taking place this weekend. So please do come to London. It's a really important weekend. We've worked hard to make sure that you're safe, and it's appropriate to do so. And I look forward to seeing you myself at the Cenotaph on Sunday.
And he also said that day that he'd written to the Met Police Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, to ensure veterans can attend reunions unmolested. That he had to actually say that beggars belief. Veterans and armed forces personnel have to be protected by the police as they travel about their lawful duties and attend remembrance events. This has echoes of the UK during the Troubles, for those of us that remember that period. So this latest U-turn by Mercer tells me that the Met Police and our security services have credible intelligence that there are plans for a confrontation this weekend from someone or some organisation. But the government only has itself to blame on this. They should have stood up from the very start and said that the 11th and 12th of November are a big no-no for protests that could cause confrontation with remembrance events. But oh no, once again a well-known minority has the whip hand and the armed forces and veterans minority has to kowtow. Many veterans will have made plans to be in London for the big event this weekend. Are they to stay locked up in their hotels until the Sunday Remembrance Parade starts? Unless that gets kiboshed too. What has this country become when those going to London on Armistice Day are warned to stay away? Presumably because violence could be done to them, like violence was done to the 78-year-old veteran selling poppies in Edinburgh. As far as I'm concerned, anyone disrespecting the fallen is engaged directly in a hate crime. And the repercussions of this will be felt for years. Any anti-UK protester who wants to make their cause known will target Armistice Day and Remembrance Sunday. It will become a common occurrence. If we can't keep Armistice Day sacred, what can we do? Those who kept us free are punished, while those that support a genocidal proscribed organisation are thanked, rewarded and patted on the back. And another message coming out is that many in the establishment must actually be anti-Semitic or UK-hating, and want to see the pro-Palestine marches overshadow this Remembrance weekend. Just look at certain politicians in the Labour Party and the SNP. I, like many ex-service personnel, will be feeling extremely angry right now, ballistic with rage in fact. Now I'm well aware that one group led by a well-known figure, a Mr. Tommy, is planning to travel to London with some of his mates. But I wonder who the Met will target first. I just hope he has the very good sense to steer well clear of trouble. At the end of the day, this whole affair is a tacit admission by the government that the police and the security services have totally lost control of our capital city. How the few will be turning in their graves. All those that gave their all in 2 world wars and many in between, like the Falklands War, on land, sea and in the air. And how will any future government now be able to look the King's Service personnel in the eyes and ask them to go into battle for this country? After all, they can give no assurances that they'll not be discarded and forgotten afterwards. Oh, it's Tommy this and Tommy that and Tommy go away. But it's thank you, Mr. Atkins, when the band begins to play. A Kipling masterpiece in summing up.